Meditation is the most fundamental practice that makes us human. What is the only thing we can do that no other animal can't? They're better than us in every aspect of life. We've the weakest body in all of animal kingdom. A human child requires at least 18 years before he can be mature enough to work for himself. Whereas, for most animals it only takes a few months. There's only one thing that animals can't do, that is, becoming self-aware. It's the only thing that makes us humans. This is the only human edge over animals and AI. And meditation is the method of solidifying this awareness. It is a continuous process to understand ourselves, and by extension, understanding reality itself. Just like a bottle of seawater has all the essential qualities of the whole sea, so are we. The existence is like one infinite ocean that is ever expanding. And we're like tiny bottles, limited by our bodies. But even we have the same qualities of the whole, since we come from the whole. Meditation is the method by which every individual can realize this fundamental truth. The following is a summary of all that I've learned in my years of practice. I do not claim to be a scholar of any religious sect. I'm a solitary practitioner who studied many paths and applied the teaching to arrive at my own gnosis. Mind is samsara. Mind is time. No mind. No both. Meditation is a continuous effort to understand the nature of mind and thus developing wisdom. Meditation is not practiced merely for peace of mind. Peace and joy is only the result of wisdom. These are the 8 factors of meditation. If these factors are slowly developing within us, then we're progressing in the path. Mindfulness, you're aware of every thought that comes and goes. Concentration, you can concentrate your mind at one point, such as breathe, and it doesn't wander away. Contemplation, you understand the nature of your thoughts. The cause and effect of them. You understand how each thought comes to be and ceases to exist. Effort, total effort is required to progress on the path. No God, no guru can do the work for us. Most people make no progress because they lack the effort. Compassion, when we understand the world, we understand the misery of others. We understand the perspective of others. Compassion is natural result of meditation. Joy, being trapped and controlled by our thought pattern is misery. Joy is the result of detachment from these sanskaras and rise in wisdom. Samatha, to understand the nature of mind and thus the world itself, and remaining in equanimity. The most important aspect of meditation. Aloneness, the absolute measurement of your progress, is to see whether you can be completely at peace and joy while being alone with yourself. Just sitting, not doing anything, not being distracted by external objects or even your own thoughts, is called kaivalya or aloneness. Observe whether or not these factors are being developed within yourself. And that's how you understand if your effort is working or not. These are the hindrances in meditation. Distraction. The world appears colorful while meditation seems to be dull. And thus we get lost in the apparent colors of the world. We seek pleasure from them, but as they're impermanent, they only bring suffering. Rigidity. Just like some people are lost in samsara and its apparent spectacles, others are too serious about meditation. Usually a specific path they walk on. This is rigidity. Be aware of it and find balance. Attachment to the path. So many sadhakas are obsessed with the path they walk on, the techniques they use and so on. They completely forget the goal. What techniques you're using is completely useless and irrelevant if the 8 factors are not being developed. We create suffering because it's the only way we create a sense of self. Without suffering, the ego can't exist. We create problems and then claim victory over them. This is how our ego is satisfied. Otherwise, life is not very difficult. Ego is the false sense of self. And it lives on extraversion. Because all we think we are taken from outside. Meditation is the method to understand and rise above this ego mind. The ego wants to expand by attaching itself to external objects and people it claims to be his. The only way to detachment is to understand this phenomena within yourself and within others. Do not confuse detachment with aloofness. We can be fully involved without attachment. The ego tells us if you're detached, you'll lose all enjoyment of life. This is completely false and the ego's way to survive. See the ego as if it is a separate entity. And just like all other entities and life forms, it wants to live on. This is just one of its ways. But it lives on lies. The truth is, we only enjoy life when we're not attached to it. The true meditator is a supreme enjoyer. He enjoys liberation and he also enjoys the samsara. The non-meditator is simply drowning in it. The ego lives on desire, for external objects. And the most fundamental desire is sexual desire. To understand sexuality is to understand the very basis of mind. The sexual desire has two main cores. One is natural. The nature wants to reproduce and so, like all animals, we seek a mate. The second cause, it is because we feel incomplete. So we want to complete ourselves by attaching ourselves to others. This is also the cause of jealousy and hate. When we see the other person with anyone but us, we immediately feel a part of us is going away and thus we feel insecure. The sexual union with the other is nothing more than a replacement for internal union between consciousness and energy. The sexual pleasure is a substitute of meditative joy. There is nothing wrong or sinful in it. Just understand that it is just a bad and a very crude substitute. Never fight the sexual energy. If you turn it into an enemy, that's the end of your journey. This is one mistake majority of sadhakas make. Sexual energy is just an energy. The act of sex is just an act. It is only the desire for others that binds us. It is perfectly possible to be fully involved without desire and attachment. As stated before, the meditator is the supreme enjoyer. He's not a cripple. Fighting sexuality turns a man into a pervert, hypocrite, and irritable. Accept and understand it the way it is. When the energy is there, you simply know it is there. It is just like a sensation of taste. Do you feel like a sinner when you enjoy a good meal? And the act of sex is just like any other act of pleasure, like enjoying the food. Do not take it any more seriously. But if it is the only pleasure you know of, then you're just a poor fool, not a sinner. Just ignorant. Having a physically present teacher is helpful, but not mandatory. Anything can be your guru as long as you're learning from them. I myself learned the most from animals and nature. And so, they're my guru. It is important to understand because it is the mind's tendency to become attached to a guru or a specific set of teaching. This is what you can call spiritual attachment. Non-sadhakas are attached to other people, their possession, status, and a myriad of other things. The so-called spiritual people become attached to certain teachers and their teaching. They are so attached to it that they may even kill for it. Who else did all religious wars? The ego and the sanskara of attachment remains alive in a different form. The ego mind thrives in activity and distraction. To be inactive is to kill it. That's why we practice zazen, the art of inactivity. Keep in mind that the goal is not simply to sit for long hours. You can train your body and mind to sit for a certain hours. It is not very difficult. The true goal is to get rid of mind's tendency to wander outside and look for new distractions. And to find our own inner center. Therefore, never set a time limit when you sit in zazen. Just keep observing when the mind tells you to get up and go outside. If you've been sitting for 1 hour, then this happens after the hour has passed. Do nothing and just sit. Know that the mind wants you to get up. Do not obey the mind. Do not be frustrated if the mind continuously wanders off. There is no fighting in zazen. You need not do anything but sitting. When the mind is distracted, just know my mind is distracted. If it is very concentrated, then just know it is now concentrated. If there's anger, hate, or jealousy, then know these emotions are there. If there's love and kindness, then know these emotions are there. Do not feel bad for having negative thoughts and do not feel like a saint for having positive thoughts. They're all sanskaras. They come and they disappear. Do not try to develop a certain type of thoughts. Often sadhakas try to get rid of hate and anger and try to replace it with loving kindness. They try to get rid of what they consider sinful and replace it with what they consider to be virtue. There is nothing to hoard. Both sin and virtue are inherently empty. Love and devotion are natural outcome of meditation. If you try to develop them without meditation, you'll only create a superficial love and blind faith. The ego mind knows its greatest enemy is sitting still. That's why it finds 1,000 excuses to not sit. It craves for activity. The nature of all things is empty. And the nature of emptiness is bliss. It is irreplaceable by any other form of pleasure. The whole point of meditation is to understand the Four Noble Truths. Life is suffering. There is cause of suffering. There is cessation of suffering. There is way to end of suffering. This is why, if you're depressed, anxious, and restless, then it is best time to meditate. Because only in such miserable states, you understand the truth of what the Buddha has said. Those who say that they'll only meditate when they're happy, for them meditation is only a superficial entertainment. As if it's some fancy clothing you only like to wear in a party. No, meditation is like your begging bowl. It's the last thing to save you. If you're feeling sad and restless, then the mind says now is not a good time to meditate. I'll meditate when I'm at peace. Then when you're at peace and happy, then the mind says, what's the point of meditating? I'm already at peace. This is how mind creates excuses in every situation to distract you from sitting in meditation. All attachment to the world and people is to seek happiness and have a sense of being complete. All desire for sensual pleasure is to substitute meditative joy. Sensual pleasure in itself is nothing wrong. But it's a horrible substitute. Reading or an intellectual understanding of things will not help. Regular disciplined meditation is compulsory. Otherwise it's like reading about swimming but never actually getting into the water. Discipline is absolutely necessary in any path. But it should not become rigidity. You must continuously push the time limit of your Zazen practice. If you're sitting for 1 hour, then push it to 1.5 hours. Then to 2 hours and so on. Keep pushing the limit until you destroy the concept of time itself. Time exists in past and future. Present is beyond time. Since the mind oscillates between past and future, the sense of time continues. And time is birth, time is death. Time is duality and freedom from time is freedom from duality and suffering caused by it. No matter how many books you read, no matter how many hours of discourses you listen to, or meditation retreats you attend, only on 2 conditions we truly begin serious meditation: when we suffer to the point we lose all interest in life's pleasures, or when we've enjoyed everything to the point of boredom and dispassion. There are no better motivation to meditate. Books and discourses only help to a certain point. Afterwards, they're all merely intellectual entertainment.